Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee Wildcast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This episode is brought to you by GSM Outdoors, whose vision is to preserve the sportsman's legacy, fuel innovation, and enable the next generation of outdoor enthusiasts. Think outside. That's where you'll find us. Now, make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee Wildcast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got another great show lined up for you today. We have Crispin Powley back with us, and we're doing another GSM Outdoors episode and giving away some cool stuff, and appreciate you being with us.
Yeah, thanks. It's always an honor. I love hanging out with you guys and talking fishing and hunting here. So
yeah, it's going to be a fun one. There's a lot of cool stuff on the table, and there's a rod sitting over there, so that might be part of the package. So we'll let everybody kind of stew on that for a minute. Don, what do you got for us?
Oh, WJJM, our partner radio station in Lewisburg, and we appreciate Jeff and Missy Hayslip from down there. That actually Jeff is kind of the inspiration for our Wildcast Extra broadcast. He was looking for a shorter version of the show and to use on his air, and so we kind of created that with his suggestion,
his inspiration.
Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate him and the station there, as well as our other radio partners around the state. You can hear us a couple of times a day on the extras on WJJM and at 8 a.m. on Saturdays.
Okay, full show at 8 a.m.?
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. We mention this all the time, but we appreciate our radio partners. We appreciate our podcast listeners, our YouTube followers, all those folks out there tuning in. So we keep bringing the content. If we keep getting the cool response that we're getting this year, it's been awesome. We've had a lot of followers, more followers, and a lot of engagement on our shows. Even some cool emails coming in, comments saying we love the show. So it's awesome.
That's right. GSM's been a big part of that because, hey, nothing helps you spread the word more than free stuff. You know, the opportunity to, add a few more things to your collection of outdoor gear.
In this case, your tackle box.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's remind people about June 7th. It's a couple weeks away, I think it is. So
Bobby Wilson Free Fishing Day.
There you go. And then following that is Free Fishing Week. So kids, I think it's 15 and under can fish for the week for free. Yeah, 15 and under can fish all week for free, June 7th through the 13th.
What a deal.
Yeah, it's great. And a reminder about the fishing guide and the hunting guide. It's a combo now. This was the first edition of the combo. I think it went over really well. People enjoyed having it all in one book. But the new one will be coming out pretty soon. Fisheries has already gone through and done some of their changes. Not a lot this year. It's pretty easy.
That's a good thing. Not too many changes, so that's great.
Wildlife will do the same or has done the same. So we're going to have this guide out before August because it goes into effect August 1 of 25. So we'll have this out in stores, online, and that kind of thing very soon. So, Crispin, thank you for being here. As a reminder, Crispin is the Vice President of Fishing for GSM Outdoors. GSMOutdoors.com is how you can find all their brands.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to be giving away brands throughout the year. We've done some predator stuff, we've done fishing stuff, we've done turkey stuff, so a lot of cool things we're giving away. Yeah. And this time around we're going to be focused a little more on bass, and we got some cool products on the table. But Crispin, just real quick, introduce yourself again for folks who may not have seen previous shows, and then we'll dive into what kind of giveaways we're doing.
Yeah, my name's Crispin Powley. I am a Tennessee native. Grew up in the Henry County area. Currently reside in Benton County, and nowhere else I'd rather call home.
Cool.
This is a sportsman's paradise, and that is a huge part of who I am, what I do, what I've made a career out of, and you'd have a hard time convincing me you can go anywhere that's better as far as fishing and hunting goes in this country, and I've been to most all those other places.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, from Mountain City to Memphis, we got it all
of it,
Tennessee. So it's a great place to be, and right there in your neck of the woods, there, like you said, you got it all right there. I mean, fishing, hunting, the ducks are flying through there too.
Yep. And so. Kentucky Lake is the hub of my universe. When I took this job at GSM, they're like, "Well, everybody works here in the office." And I'm like, "You got the wrong guy." because I can't get to Kentucky Lake from there very easy. And so, yeah, it's that's just I'm a pretty fortunate guy that I've managed to make a career out of what I love, and that's spending time in the outdoors.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that work here would say the same thing. You know, working with the agency, you know, they love what they do. They're here because of what we stand for. You know, so definitely loving what we're doing, and hope people are enjoying the outdoors with us. Well, we're going to talk about bass fishing today, and you brought some things to give away. Let's cover some of those.
Yeah, so we decided we were going to talk about summertime bass fishing, right? And I brought an assortment of tackle from our brands that's kind of geared around what I would call finesse fishing.
Okay.
But it's also very applicable to the time frame, right, that we're talking about right now. And I brought the first thing. If you're going to go bass fishing, you got to have a bass rod, and make sure I don't break the tip off of this before somebody. But this is a Phenix M1. It's the Phenix brand. M1 is the family of rods, and this is a spinning rod. It's a 7. My eyes are. I'm getting old. There we go. It's got first sign in it when you got to pull it out here. 7'2" medium action, and I would tell you this is just kind of a workhorse of a spinning rod. It's got kind of all the attributes to do just about anything you'd want to do with a spinning rod.
Awesome.
You could panfish with it. You can catch an 8-pound bass on it. So this thing it's a beast, and it's one of my favorite models.
It looks really cool, and the handle's different. That's different.
Yeah. I think you kind of noticed that when I walked in with it. So one of the things that's kind of engineered into this rod is what we call like a blank through type grip, right?
Okay.
A lot of spinning rods that you might see have a foam or cork handle. The truth is, there's a pretty strong argument to be made that every layer of material you put between your hand and this actual blank is one layer removed of sensitivity, right? I'll get it out in a second. And this is a one-piece blank, which means there's no interruptions between the tip to the handle.
Oh, okay.
And it just really transfers. It's super sensitive, and this blank through no handle design is the way you hold a spinning rod anyway. Your hand's kind of up here to cast. You put your hand on the back, but it's super ergonomic, very comfortable, and very sensitive.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I'm going to have to look into one of those. It's time for me to upgrade anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I put my name in the hat, Don?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think that'd go over well. That's cool. So check those out online, Phenix rods. And the website you mentioned last time you were here, bait.com, is that right?
So everything GSM makes is under gsmoutdoors.com or gsm.com. I'm not sure.
GSMOutdoors.com.
Okay, gotcha. And but we actually have a standalone website for our tackle, just the fishing brands, and it's baits.com.
Perfect.
We were very fortunate to inherit that when we bought Yamamoto. Their website was baits.com.
Awesome. Which
seemed to be a little broader than one brand. So we brought them all under one umbrella.
Yeah, that's going to say, how'd you get that URL?
Yeah, we got pretty lucky there.
So you got some Yamamoto baits with you today, and quite a few more here.
Yeah, so I just brought a couple of what I thought were really relevant styles to this conversation. And like Yamamoto, this is a Ned Cinco, which Ned rigging's a really fun way to catch them, very productive, and very, quite honestly, easy. And you'll hear me say that a lot. I just think we tend to overcomplicate this sometimes. And I've had days where my little girl dragging a drop shot out the back of the boat's caught more than I have up there looking at forward facing on. Roboworm's one of our brands that we're real proud of. It's a Finesse brand also. This is a 4.5-inch straight tail worm. It is you could ask every pro angler on earth what's the number one drop shot worm, and they'd all, whether they're sponsored by them or not, would say Roboworm. So
awesome. And
then I brought this another one of my favorites in the summertime. This is a Big Bite Pro Swimmer. It's a paddle tail swim bait, and I would rig it on this Buckeye head.
Okay.
And I'll talk a little bit about that as we get into the conversation about kind of how, when, where, and why you would apply these baits. So this package, whoever the winner is, They're hooked up because you can
Pun intended,
cover
right?
water. Yeah, there you go. Actually, it wasn't, but it will be from now on. Yeah, you can cover water with this stuff, or you can, once you get them found, which is kind of what we're going to start looking for this time of year, is a concentration of fish in a summertime pattern in a school.
Yeah.
You can kind of sit down on them and work them over pretty good with this Finesse stuff.
Perfect. I like it. So we are, about to enter June, and you said this is ledge season.
Yeah, growing up on Kentucky Lake once again, I mean, it's all about offshore fishing. Don't you? I love to get up around the bank and throw a buzzbait, a spinnerbait, drag a lizard around, whatever. But Kentucky Lake, as is most of the Tennessee River chain, from East Tennessee to West, is really noted for its offshore fishing. I've got buddies that fish all around the country, and anytime I say where I'm from, they're like, "Oh, that's a ledge lake." I mean, that's what everybody knows the Tennessee River as, specifically Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that this time of year is my favorite. Memorial Day weekend on, and those fish have, in theory, once again, I say this a lot, I'm going to say it again. They don't all do the same things at the same time. You can catch fish shallow year round. You can catch fish, I knew that was going to happen in a minute.
Yep.
You can catch fish deep year round. I like to put myself in the situations and areas and scenarios that I think just give me the greatest opportunity for success, right?
Yeah.
And from Memorial Day on, I think that's looking for groups of fish offshore. And what I mean by offshore, it doesn't even necessarily mean deep. It just means they're out off the bank, and there's a lot of reasons they do that. So fish typically spawn shallower. I think that's kind of a commonly understood tenet of fishing.
Yeah.
And so bass are no exception. In our state, we've got really good representation of largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. They all act a little different, but they all kind of do the same things too. Largemouth typically spawn a little shallower. Smallmouth typically spawn a little deeper, and spotted bass just do whatever they want to do every day. Wake up, just do whatever they want to do that day. But I say all that to say, this season we're entering now, I would say the majority of the fish have spawned. And once they've gone through the rigors of that process, so your males will move shallow. They'll find a suitable area. They want sunlight. They want cover. They want bottom composition, and they want all the least amount of predators. They'll go up there and they'll fan out a bed with their tail. Female will come in, lay her eggs. He'll fertilize it, and then protect the bed. Protect the fry. Well, once this is all said and done, and I don't know the science behind when they do what, but I know for a fact, undisputedly, I don't know how you say that word, not all, a large majority of them will move back out, and then they kind of set up in what I would call their summer pattern or ledge season, right? Like I refer to it as.
Yeah.
A kind of a neat little sidebar there. The deepest I think they get all year is at the beginning of this. I think that those big female bass, which is what we kind of target, right? That's your bigger fish. You can brag about a bunch of fish, but tell me about a big one. I'm more interested, right? That's what I kind of go fishing for.
That's what keeps you coming back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so I think oftentimes after they spawn, they'll go out there on the closest nearby deep water, and they'll recuperate. I just think they kind of don't feel good. They're beat up. Imagine running this marathon, and when you get done, you don't go straight to the steakhouse. Like, you want to kind of sit down and get your breath and kind of get feeling better, and then we'll start thinking about eating, because that's the next thing we all want to do, right? And they're not. It's kind of just an animal. We're all kind of wired a little bit alike, and so. This season represents to me when they've slid out there deep, they've started to recuperate, and now we're starting to think about feeding again. I think it's a very blanket, kind of generic statement, but it's one I'm very comfortable living with. These fish will oftentimes get out there deep, and that's when they're not feeding, and they'll come up shallow to feed. Kentucky Lake, as is many Tennessee reservoirs, river systems, have both deep and shallow water, and that transition between the two is what I call a ledge. So you can picture it, flat top, with a ledge off down to deeper water. I consider these fish out here that are suspended or at the bottom, non-aggressive. I want to target the ones that are up here.
Kind of mid, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like it's like a batter. I know this guy's got 4 pitches. I'm looking for a fastball. I know my probability is he's going to throw me a fastball, and that's the one I'm going to hit. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time chasing these fish down here. My high probability fish are on top of the ledge. Mm-hmm. So over the years, I've gone from. It's probably got a little bit to do with age, a little bit to do with endurance. But I've gone from my favorite thing to do is wind a crankbait as hard and fast as you can all day to drag a big heavy jig or throw a big swim bait. I've learned that you can be very effective this time of year with finesse tactics. And oftentimes the cool part about this time of year is the fish really seem to concentrate. Uh-huh. And you can pull out a paper map. You can get mapping on your phone. You can put a map card in your electronics on your boat. And you can find these areas where you go, okay, this is a good spawning cove, right? Here's a creek channel that runs out to this main river bar. And you'll find it's almost, it's not always, but it's often an intersection where current hits a shallow feature that is accentuated by a feeder creek from a spawning area. It's an equation that holds true all over the world, right? And
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was about to ask. So I don't have a high end boat with high end electronics. How am I finding these spots? How far off a bank am I? But you kind of talked about it. You kind of hit it there with researching your paper maps, research maps online before you get out there.
Yeah, I've got a buddy that can catch as many bass as anybody I know. He uses Google Maps. He uses resources on his iPhone and jumps out there in his aluminum boat. And I wouldn't want to fish against him in a tournament. Everything in life, you can spend as much as you want, or you can figure out how to be as good as you can be with what you've got. Mm. And it's the whichever direction you want to go. Yeah. The first tournament I ever won on Kentucky Lake, I had a 14-foot John boat with a cooler I converted to a live well, and beat guys in really high dollar boats. Oh, yeah. I've had my tail kicked by guys in a John boat, and I was in a high dollar boat. Yeah. So it's what you put into it to understand what you're doing to make yourself the most successful you can be. And I hate to say this, but there's also a little bit of element of luck involved. Not always, but it can be. And we can't deal in luck. Let's deal in what we know. And here's what I can tell you: if you find a bedding area with a feeder creek, and that creek runs out to a main river current spot, there will be bass there. Okay. They may not be at this moment, at this day, but don't forget it. Come back to it. Yeah. So.
Perfect. I like it. So let's dive into some of these techniques. You said you'd show us, talk us through it anyway. Wish we could be out on the water today and just show us. But start with whichever one you want. The Ned rig enticed me just to understand that more. I know we've talked about it on the show, but I tend to forget. If I don't go do it, I'll forget.
Yep. Yeah, so Ned rig it got popular probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it involves most of the time a pretty straight, compact bait. This is what we call a Ned Cinco. I've got the package turned around backwards so you can kind of see the product a little better. But it's literally a pretty featureless little compact straight bait, and you rig it just on what we call a Ned head, right? Okay. This is one by Northland. It's one of our brands also. But it's got a flat bottom, so when you rig that bait's made from what we call mega floater formula, so the bait stands up.
Okay.
And that's got a flat bottom, so you throw it out there on your spinning rod, let it go to the bottom, and it just stands up, and you can shake it, and that little tail will quiver. Uh-huh. And when you are searching these spots, I like to kind of cover water. I like to make a bunch of casts. I throw a swim bait or whatever. But once I get a bite or two, we're going to hit spot lock on the trolling motor, whatever. We're going to just go, hey, I'm dropping an anchor right here, whatever that looks like in your scenario. And this Ned rig will just clean them up. You catch little ones, you catch big ones. I've caught giants on a Ned rig, and it's also a good way just to get a lot of bites. So that's always fun too. But a Ned rig is a wonderful way. You can feel the bottom real well. And I always emphasize to people, I want to feel a firm, chunky bottom.
Okay.
And gravel, like on Kentucky Lake, gravel bars are just huge. When I'm dragging that Ned rig, I want to feel it, dump, 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 and you'll just feel it go, dump. and it'll just won't pull. And that's
better
a fix,
set
right?
some.
Yeah, you just start reeling, right? So Ned rig's awesome. I want to talk about this before we go too far.
Sure.
The swim bait. This is what I would call more of a search style
You're gonna
bait,
find
right?
them with that, yeah.
No, you can certainly anchor down on them and catch them on a swim bait, but it's a great way to cover water. You can do it with the spinning rod. I like a 3/16 ounce head. This is a head that Buckeye that we designed. It's a light wire hook with a spinning rod. You're going to use typically lighter line. So I want a lighter hook, right? So I can just kind of, you don't have to really set the hook. You just kind of pull into them and reel. And then this little paddle tail swim bait, you just throw it out there, let it go to the bottom, and swim it back as slow as you can go and still feel the tail activate.
Okay.
And when you get a bite or two, you can either keep on with this till they quit biting, then pick up the Ned rig, or my probably favorite thing offshore is a drop shot. Straight tail worm, I use your hook is up above your weight. I like a tungsten weight, and the reason I like tungsten, the density of it. Lead's a soft metal. We've used lead forever, but lead is a soft metal. And when you're dragging it, it absorbs some of the feel.
Yeah.
Whereas tungsten's super dense, and it transmits all that feel straight up your line into that rod, into your hand. So once again, I want to be able to feel that bottom, and I'll put my leader, 8 to 10 inches above my weight. It's kind of a very natural starting spot, and cast that thing out there on top. I typically set deep and throw shallow.
Okay.
The key, though, is where I see a lot of people, I think is a mistake. You may catch more fish than me doing it, and that's fine. I'm very comfortable with my tried and true methods. But I want to point my nose into the current, and I want to present my bait in what I believe is the most natural way. I believe that most of the time fish are utilizing current to their advantage when they're feeding.
Yeah.
And they've got their nose pointed into it because they know things are coming this way. So I want to bring my bait into their face. A lot of times, too, on Kentucky Lake, specifically, I can speak to that when the current's running, like the current's running super hard right now.
All the weather, yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's times throughout this time of year, spring, late spring, early summer, where they'll generate a lot of current for electricity and so forth. That gravel bar that we talked about, if you can ever find one that has kind of an abrupt end that the current hits, the natural, I think people have a tendency to go on the down current side and throw on top and drag it off, because that makes a lot of sense, especially in light of what I said a moment ago, right? Like it just, that's the way they would feed. But here's a little trick. Oftentimes when current is hitting the end of a bar, let's say that this is a big gravel bar right here, and this is the end of it, and current is hitting it, there'll be a pocket right here made from turbulence where there's no current. It's completely slack. A fish doesn't have to expend any energy to just hover there.
And just kind of hang out.
Just hang out. Yeah. And if you can get the right cast, whatever that angle is, there's oftentimes multiple bites right there. So,
wow. Yeah.
And that drop shot, man, I can pitch that thing out there and just pull it into that slack, and you'll feel it. Like you'll have pressure on your line, and then you'll feel it like just kind of chills out, and that's oftentimes when your bites come.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I don't feel those things, but I don't do it as much as you do. So it just, it's a learning process.
I could show you in a matter of minutes, and you'd totally get it. So, yeah.
Awesome. So let's see. You covered the Yamamoto. You got the Roboworm.
Yep.
Swim bait for searching.
Yep. And I guess the last one that I would talk about is, this is a bait by Big Bite. It's called a Nico Rama. And a
Nico rig. I've heard that. Yeah.
Nico rig. It's really gaining a lot of popularity. It's actually, it's something that we've been doing for a long time, but the emergence of forward-facing sonars kind of shed a new light on it. Pun.
Yeah, there you go.
Again. But
ching.
It is a wonderful way to target a concentration of fish. What I think people often, and I think I've learned this throughout my lifetime, I love to crank a crankbait, but it's very intrusive. If there's a school of fish there and this bait comes rattling through here, making a bunch of racket and banging off rocks and banging off fish, you hook a fish and it's just, it's chaos. I think they get on kind of high alert.
Yeah. Right.
Or they'll even swim off.
Mm-hmm.
I think with this, you can kind of just sit back and throw it in there and kind of ease it into them, and one eats it, and you just kind of pull him out, and they just look around and like,
where'd he go?
Yeah, where'd Jimmy go? And before long, they find out where Jimmy went, right? So it's it's a mindset. I love to power fish as much as the next guy, but if you just want to go catch numbers, if you want to, this is not hard to figure out. Like a lot of times, I think people don't have a lot of confidence in a deep diving crankbait because you got to have certain equipment for it, and I can't tell if that's the bottom or a fish or whatever. And this is very simple and it's very effective.
Yeah, I think this would probably be my next favorite. Past a creek fishing day or something, this would be my speed.
Yeah, this and topwater fishing. I mean,
topwater's fun too.
If you don't like topwater fishing, you can buy some golf clubs and get out of the fishing business.
I'm feeling another episode coming on.
Yeah, I think we probably should.
Yeah,
but make it on the water. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's remind folks. We've hit the baits, but let's just remind them. So they're going to get the Yamamoto. You got about 6 packages there of that. You got 4 or 5 Roboworms, the big bite.
Yep.
Package of swim baits, and then your hooks and things. You're going to be set. Plus the rod. That's the big. That's the big ticket there.
Yeah, you slap a reel on this with some line on it, and you're ready to go.
Yeah. Put the braided. Your suggestion. Braided with a leader.
And that's a great point. I am a big proponent of braided mainline, and I use a fluorocarbon leader. When I'm bass fishing, I'll use maybe a 12 to 15 pound main line, braided line, which is about 6 pound diameter. It's real small diameter, so it casts great. Your knots go through the line guides really well. That's another. I mean, this is a source of contention amongst anglers everywhere, and always a debate. But what is your knot you use to join your line?
Oh yeah.
I like an old school. It's called a blood knot. Or uni to uni. I think it's the same thing. The FG knot's real popular right now. The Albright knot's real popular right now. But like that Palomar we talked about earlier, the tried and true, I just don't break them. And I've been fortunate to pull on a bunch of them. So I'll use a 12 or 15 pound braided line, and I'll use almost exclusively 8 pound fluorocarbon as my leader.
Okay.
And I like to do it, when I'm bass fishing, probably 2 times the length of the rod is a pretty good rule of thumb.
Yeah, the last show you mentioned, it was about the length of the rod for crappie or something. But
for bass, I like it a little bit longer.
Double it up a little bit. Yeah. Awesome. This is great. This is good information.
I know.
Making me want to go out there. So, turkey season's gone now, so let's go fishing.
That's right. Exactly. It's a natural evolution, right? That's what we do.
Yeah. Yep. Well, again, thank you. And I want to remind folks, go to the YouTube, follow us there, tag a friend, tag some friends on our Facebook post and our Instagram post about these shows.
Get your name in the hat.
That's how you get your name in the hat. Go follow us and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. But we appreciate you. And don't forget about our podcast platforms. Spotify's our host, but if you like Apple or those other spots out there, you go find us wherever you want us.
Find us there too.
Yep. So it's been fun, Crispin. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I love being here, guys. So thanks for having me.
I love it too. Yeah, it's a great conversation, great content. Makes me want to get out there. So
I know.
That's what we want, right?
That's what it's all about.
I learned a lot today.
Sure enough. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back each week, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.